Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Megan. I own multiple small businesses, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you all about tips and tricks for doing craft fairs, holiday shows, flea markets, and the like. So if you don't already know, I actually have a series on preparing for my first craft show. I've only done one at this point, but I've learned so much. It was really great learning experience. So I thought, hey, if you guys haven't done craft shows yet, I should give you some tips and tricks so you can learn from my mistakes or from what I believe I did right. So all right, let's get into it. So I have a checklist of different things I want to talk about today. Of course, first off, please don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. So first, I got my list here. So my first tip, the biggest tip that I can give you is you don't have to have a niche right away. So you don't have to have a certain subset of items that you sell. I would try to be diverse as you can to figure out what does sell and what doesn't sell, what gets people look at and what people don't look at, and things like that. So for example, if you look at my last video, I kind of show you how I had my booth all set up, and how I learned definitely some things along the way. But you can see how I have my booth set up, and I go more into detail about how that particular craft show went for me, how much I made, and things like that. And I'll link that up above or down below, probably both anyways. So like I said, you don't have to have a specific niche right away. This will kind of come in time, I feel like. So some of the items that I thought would sell well didn't, and some of the items that I thought, nobody's really going to be interested in this, they did sell well, or they got a lot of interest. So for example, for my craft show, if you didn't already see my video, but I had like knit scarves and knit items, I had scrunchies, I had key fobs. I also had some placemat samples to show people, and I had zipper pouches and handbags and things like that. So I'll kind of get more into details about that for another tip. But like I said, you don't have to have a specific niche right away. You will learn in time what sells and what doesn't sell. So just bring as much things as you have, which brings me into another tip. Is to definitely bring an extra table and extra items just in case. So if you saw from my last video, I was actually on a corner, and I wasn't expecting to be on a corner, so I had all this additional space. And luckily for me, I only lived about 5 minutes away from the craft show, so it was super easy to just have my dad come and bring the table, and then the next day I brought additional items to put out on that specific table. So if you are doing a craft show that is kind of far away and you don't want to have to deal with all that, definitely bring an extra table and extra items to sell just in case. And also to definitely bring tablecloths. It'll just make you look more professional. I actually, for my second little table, I found this like lace kind of covering that just totally worked perfectly. So luckily for me, that worked out. But again, most of the times you won't know exactly what your space will look like until you physically see it. So it's best to over prepare. So like I said, you don't have to have a niche. Bring as many items as you can. And then as people come in and look at your items, take note of what they're looking at. Take note of what's selling, what has people's interest. So for example, when I had my recent craft show, I brought a bunch of knitwear that I thought would sell. But people looked at it and just kind of walked away, or they would touch and be like, oh, this is nice or whatever, but they didn't really buy it. There wasn't much interest and things like that. They weren't trying to barter or anything. So for my next one, I don't think I'm going to bring those. However, I had a ton of interest in my placemat, which was totally unexpected. I wasn't planning on bringing them to that particular craft show, but I put them out there just to see if people would get interest. And there was tons and tons of interest. So whenever I do my next craft shows, which I'm definitely planning on doing for the rest of this year, when I prepare for those, I'm definitely going to make some placemats and just, I also had these little gift card tags. I wasn't sure how they would do. Again, a lot of interest, not many people were buying. But that was just kind of how the craft show went, is a lot of people would look at stuff, but they wouldn't buy. And that was like universal across all booths. So it wasn't just me, it wasn't my prices or anything like that. Which brings me into my next tip. which is to go around and look at other people, what their prices are, what they're selling, if your items are different from theirs or if it's similar. One thing that I really liked about my booth is that I sold like sweatshirts and long sleeve shirts for adults. And other booths, I didn't really see that, but my prices were pretty on point with what other people were selling their items for. So definitely kind of going outside the box and what people typically bring and make to craft fairs is really important, as well as bringing the items that you think everybody would like in general. So yeah, again, look around, kind of network with other people is a really big thing. I met a nice woman that was next to my booth, and she was very helpful. She provided a lot of tips and tricks for me and how to be successful for future craft shows, how to find the good craft shows and things like that. So like I said, is that they will give you a ton of tips, and they'll let you know which craft fairs they've done, which ones they recommend, which ones to avoid, which ones they're planning on doing next. So I got a lot of really great tips just from that one person. So think about if you go around to the other booths and say, hey, I'm a seller here too, you know, like, what do you sell? And have you done any craft shows? Have you done this one before? Is this normal? Or, you know, just kind of gauging what other people are doing as well. So then you can kind of figure out if you're on the same page as them as to what they're selling and their prices and just how also they're involved in the community as well. A big tip is to definitely have business cards. Have something that you can physically hand to people. Even if they just buy a scrunchie, just give them a business card, because you never know if people will be like, oh, you know, your shop sounds interesting, let me look more into it. Even if they end up throwing it away, just your ease of mind of knowing, hey, I have 10 business cards out in the world to the people that are local to me, to my community. It'll just kind of ease your mind, and you know, you could get future sales out of it, so definitely do that. One thing that I learned from my experience is that since I have 4 Etsy shops slash websites, I am in the process of combining all of my shops into one cohesive website. So I have many items, so it's definitely taking a long time. But I just think it makes more sense if you do have multiple shops and you go to craft shows, and like, it's just kind of a lot to hand out 4 business cards. But what I did is that I had a kind of custom order card. So I said, we do custom, like at the top of it, it was just like a little postcard thing. It wasn't like much, but at the top of it, I said we do custom orders. And then I listed exactly what I make. So I said, hand knit scarves, embroidery, business apparel, kids items, adult items. Like, I just listed them all. And then at the bottom I had my contact information, so my email. And then on the side of that I had my different shops that I offered. So that did work for the time, but like I said, if you have multiple shops, I would definitely consider kind of combining them all, especially for the holiday season, because let's say if they're there to look at a sweatshirt and they're like, oh, hey, I like this scrunchie, and then they buy the sweatshirt and the scrunchie. So you never know exactly if people are looking for specific items or if something else will catch their eye as well. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be working on as well. So definitely taking custom orders is a huge thing. So if you don't already know, I do sewing, I do embroidery, I have a Cricut. I actually just got the Cricut Explore Air 3, and I'll do an unboxing video with that as well in my upcoming videos. So I do a lot of different things. I also have a serger. You can't see it, but it's right there. So definitely taking custom orders is a big thing. What I would recommend if you do take custom orders, and unfortunately I didn't have time to do this, is to either have some items physically for people to see, which is what worked out in my favor for one particular order, or you can have like kind of a lookbook thing, like a binder sort of thing of the different custom items that you can make, so then people can see what different things you have, excuse me, and then they can consider what they want to order based off of that. Or if they want something like a shirt that's originally in white and they want it in black, you know, just kind of go off of what the customer is looking for. And if they do want something completely custom made, definitely consider doing that. So what I did is I have this handy dandy clipboard that I made. It is just I just did it on Word. I didn't do anything special with it, but it's a custom order request sheet that if a customer is interested in filling out or is interested in taking a custom order, they want to do it, they want to order right then and there, you can have them fill out this information. So here's what it looks like. So basically, have them fill out their name and their email, their phone number, and then I also have preferred method of contact because some people don't feel comfortable giving out their phone numbers and don't want to be communicated that way, or if they feel more comfortable with email, whichever one. Definitely giving them that option is important. And then the item requested. So if they want a shirt, a white shirt that has Santa Claus on it, I don't know, I'm just kind of coming up with something, you would have them put that in there. And if they don't know what exactly to name it, you can just fill this out part yourself, but not a big deal. And then date needed by. So for this, you know, they can choose, if they need it by a certain date, they can. If they don't, then they can leave it blank. And down here, I said that my turnaround time is typically 1 to 2 weeks. And I do verbally tell them that as well, but just to tell them again, because some people are like, hey, it's been a week, I haven't got my order. And then if you're like, well, it's 1 to 2 weeks processing time, then they can at least hear it verbally and see it on paper. And then the next one is if they want to do local pickup or if they want to do it via shipping. So for me, I charge an extra $5 if they wanted to ship. Some of my items cost more than that, but typically $5 is a pretty average price. So if they say, I want to do local pickup, I will rearrange that with them as well. Make it super easy, especially if you're already from the area. They're most likely going to pick local pickup. Or if they want shipping and then they just don't want to deal with the hassle of having to drive somewhere and pick stuff up. And then if they do select shipping, just have them write their address on this following line here. And then any additional information. So for example, if they want a adult white shirt with Santa on it, then you could put like size or something down here, whatever they want. And if it is unisex, just to let them know. So I have this listed down here. And this worked out really well for me. Although it was kind of a slow craft fair, I actually did get a custom order request for 2 sets of 2 placemats, so a total of 4 placemats. And it was just a super seamless process, especially since I had PayPal Business. So if you do craft shows and you do want more business, I would highly recommend that you sign up for Square or Wix. I don't know exactly all the options. I know Square has a card reader. Or what I do is PayPal. So through PayPal, I signed up for a Zettel card reader. Unfortunately, it didn't get to me on time, but I do have an app on my phone for PayPal Business. And what I did with this customer is I asked her if she had a PayPal account and she said yes. So what I did is I created an invoice for her, and you can either have it sent to them via email or their phone number, and she elected to send it via email, so I sent her the invoice. I listed that it was for 4 placemats and different things like that. You can include more details if you want as well. But anyway, so that invoice was sent to her email, and I think it was sent to her phone. So it was sent to her phone, but she couldn't open up the link, like it wasn't like clickable. So what she did is she copy and pasted it into a browser, and then she just connected it to her PayPal, and it was all done. And then my PayPal notified me that the customer paid it. So definitely having something like that set up. Anything that has to do with cards or credit cards is a great addition to have, especially if you do have items that are kind of quite costly. So for this instance, it did cost $72 for her. Not many people have $72 on them, so having that option is really great just to bring in more customers and hopefully get more sales. And then if they do know that you have that option, maybe they'll kind of go to your little booth and look at what you have. So that brings me to my next tip, is to have high quality signs. So what I did is I had cardstock that I just printed. So I would put scrunchies and then the different prices for the scrunchies. That did work well. And one thing that I really also want to do, which you all should do as well, is to have signs including like your website, your Facebook page, your Instagram, all of your social medias, and have it on there. So then if somebody's walking by and then they want to check out your shop, they can just take a screenshot or they can just take a picture, and it's just a super easy process that way. I didn't have that, which I'm definitely planning on doing now, especially since I do have my new website, and I also do want to help promote and grow my YouTube channel. So to have that option for people to watch your channel or look at your website is really great, especially if it's kind of like a drive-by and they're like, I'm not really sure. Then they could either take your business card or just take a picture of your booth. So that's what I recommend with that. Let's see. I think I got through most of the tips that I have for you guys. Yes, so for future, if you do want to do future craft shows, if you learn a lot of different things from just doing your first craft show, I would definitely recommend that you not only get advice and tips from vendors as to where the good craft shows are and how much they cost, what they've done, and how much they sold and different things like that. I would definitely recommend that you join Facebook groups. This is a humongous thing. I can't tell you enough. So definitely joining Facebook groups. So for example, I'm in Central New York, so I just type in CNY vendors or something like that. And I believe I'm a part of 2 different groups. And at least once a week or every other day, I would say every other day, that somebody is posting about a new craft show that's coming up. And all of these I haven't heard of. So that's why I kind of was looking into that, you know, just looking at the different fairs and craft shows that are offered, and then to keep a document, a Word document is what I'm doing as to the different craft shows, the different dates, how much they cost, and then as well as if you email them, and the results from that. So for example, I did email a couple of not vendors, I did email a couple of the venues and they said, oh, sorry, we're unfortunately full, which is totally fine. But, you know, I did document that in the Word document, and then the ones that did have spots open, that they did send, like, application and the fees and stuff like that. For the ones that did do that, then I made a note of those as well, and then I also printed up the application, so then at the end of the night, or the end of the day, I could look at them and go through them all. So yeah, I think that was kind of a summation of what I've learned. You know, like I said, it's a total learning process. You know, it's better overall to over prepare than under prepare. So if you are doing a craft show, I would definitely, excuse me, depending on what you sell, and how quick it is to make them, I would recommend that you give yourself a couple to few weeks to prepare. That way you can have tons of items to sell, especially if you are on a corner like I was and you weren't expecting it. Then you can be like, well, I have all this other stuff over prepared. Especially if you do sell really well, then you can just go under your table and bring out the extra items and sell those as well. So yeah, again, it's just a really great learning experience. You network with people, and just giving your information out to the community is really beneficial. But again, if you want to learn more about my experience in particular, please feel free to check out my other video, as well as how I prepare for future craft shows. So I hope you guys all found this video very helpful. If you did, again, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any tips or tricks as well, please include that down in the comments, and let me know if you're thinking about doing future craft shows and what your concerns are, and different things like that, and how you want to be involved more in the community. I really want this channel to support other small businesses. Not only that, but also kind of letting people know about the different products that I sell, but mostly it's just to support other small businesses and to let them know that they're not alone, and overall to provide lots of tips and tutorials for crafters and future crafters as well. So I hope this all sounds like something that's right up your alley. Again, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.